Developing this morning, police in Aurora are looking for the drivers in a hit-and-run crash that left at least 2 people hurt. This happened last night on Buckley Road at KUSA Way. Police say a group of people in a red Honda Civic crashed into another car, got out, and ran away. Police think they're all teenagers. One of the victims went to the hospital. The other refused medical treatment. Police haven't released any more information about the suspects.
Right now, crews are looking into how a wildfire in Jefferson County started. Several families had to evacuate their homes yesterday afternoon because of this. The fire started around 3:30 on top of Rainbow Hill north of I-70 and the community of El Rancho. It really just smoldered on the hillside, but it was windy and dry enough for deputies to evacuate some homes on Summit Ranch Drive. Firefighters with Foothills Fire Protection say they had it fully contained about 2 hours later. People on Summit Ranch Drive are allowed to go back home now, but firefighters are asking them to be alert in case this fire flares up again. And we are waiting to see potentially if there is a strike with Kaiser Permanente workers. Our Courtney Yoon is out live covering this for us this morning. Courtney, what's the latest details that we have?
Yeah, good morning, Jordan. Negotiations between Kaiser Permanente and a coalition of unions will continue this week. Workers have already voted to authorize a strike as their contract deadline looms at the end of the month here. A strike is something both sides say that they want to avoid. Now, workers tell us that their shifts have gotten tougher with fewer staff in the clinic. Some employees say patients end up waiting longer for just the basics. Workers are asking Kaiser to improve staffing levels, raise pay, and address gaps in patient care. A spokesperson for Kaiser says they're in the process of hiring an additional 10,000 workers, with 6,500 already hired. But when it comes to pay increases, Kaiser said, quote, "This would not reflect market labor costs and would prevent us from addressing fair market wages," unquote. Executive board member of SEIU Local 105, Paula Coleman, says workers and patients deserve better.
We're considering because of patient care. We need better staffing. What's happening is the wait times are just getting too long. It's a safety issue, not only for the patients, but also for ourselves, the workers, and we really we need to put that at the forefront.
A spokesperson for Kaiser Permanente says that they hired 29,000 workers in 2022 despite pandemic-driven labor shortages. Now the unions and Kaiser Permanente have just about 4 weeks to reach a deal in this contract before September 30th. Jordan, Corey.
All right, Courtney, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Pentagon staff are telling the Air Force Academy to make changes to stop hazing. Our partners at the Denver Gazette reported Department of Defense review found some freshman cadets say the school can feel like a prison. The feds say freshmen at the Air Force Academy aren't acknowledged as cadets, and they face unprofessional leadership, hazing, and harassment that would be unacceptable in other environments. The cadets told evaluators they feel like they can't seek physical and mental health care on campus, and that it was hard to get transportation off campus for care. The Gazette asked the Air Force Academy for a response about the report, but we haven't heard back yet.
Right now, a couple of firefighters from Colorado are helping out at the Burning Man Festival as people are finally allowed to leave. Glen Haven Volunteer Fire says that one of their lieutenants is on the fire crew there, along with a firefighter from Larimer County. Mud from a really big rainstorm stranded thousands of people at the festival for days. The mud was a foot deep in some places. Now they're all making the slow drive out of the desert. Hundreds of cars and RVs were lined up waiting for all the clear to start driving. While they were stranded, organizers told people to conserve food and water, and bathrooms were limited. Now they say the mud is drying out, though it's still not an easy drive.
People are trying to get out, but the roads are still pretty muddy and there's still standing water. And so there's new roads that are forming around, and that's just people working together to get each other out of jams.
Organizers delayed the annual burning of the big effigy until last night for whoever decided to stick around.
What a mess there. It's 6:05 right now, and today the impeachment trial begins for Republican Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. He's accused by his own party of taking bribes and abusing his office. Paxton's facing more than a dozen articles of impeachment. He's been suspended from duty since the state house voted to impeach him in May. The House impeachment managers have already submitted nearly 4,000 pages of evidence. Those documents detail accusations that Paxton pressured his top aides to take steps that would benefit one of his donors. Paxton has been a powerful political leader in the state, steering Texas to the right. The trial is expected to last at least 2 weeks.
Let's take a live look at the White House right now. First Lady Jill Biden tested positive for COVID-19. The White House says she has mild symptoms and she is isolating at the Biden's home in Delaware. President Biden tested negative tonight, but will keep testing this week. The First Lady also had COVID last year.
New this morning, some airports across the country are making some changes to make it easier for people with dementia to navigate. Nearly a dozen airports have added things like quiet rooms and simulation centers where people with dementia can learn about flying. But advocates say that is not enough. Airports can be overwhelming. There's a lot to remember, and sometimes people with dementia or Alzheimer's can go missing. At the airport in Missoula, Montana, people can wear a special lanyard to indicate they have dementia or another kind of cognitive impairment. Dallas is launching that same program later this month. Advocates are also pushing for private family restrooms and for airlines to adopt more dementia-inclusive policies.
And one thing you want to know about the weather, after 80s and 90s along the Front Range yesterday, we've cooled it to the 70s and 80s with mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer. We'll stay in the 80s to near 90 with lots of sunshine.